Welcome to the Town of Dayton Board of Selectmen's regular meeting. Today is Wednesday, July 23rd, 2025 at 5:30 p.m. This meeting is in person and via Zoom at Old Town Hall, 1111 Somerset Ave, Dayton, Mass. This meeting is being recorded. The listing of matters are those reasonably anticipated by the chair, which may be discussed at the meeting. Now, all items listed may in fact be discussed, and other items not listed may also be brought up for discussion to the extent permitted by law. This agenda was revised this afternoon. Could we please have a call to order?
Nicole Mello, present.
Mark Pacheco, present.
And Peter Karen, present. And could we please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I guess we all know why we're here. So, Ralph, you want to start, or?
You have a motion to go into.
Oh, I'm sorry. Here I am thinking that, yes, we need a motion to go into executive session.
I'll make a motion to go into executive session under Mass General Law, Chapter 38, Section 21A3, to discuss strategy with respect to collective bargaining or litigation. If an open meeting may have a detrimental effect on the bargaining or litigating position of the public body, and the chair so declares, Dayton Permanent Fire Association Local 302 grievance, and also under MGL 38, Section 21A7, for the approval of the Board of Selectmen executive session meeting minutes of July 9th, 2025.
I'll
Great.
second that.
Motion made and seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Good evening. We just returned from executive session, so we're going to go right into the regular Board of Selectmen's meeting. I'm just going to reiterate that this meeting is being recorded. The listing matters are those reasonably anticipated by the chair, which may be discussed at the meeting. Not all items listed may in fact be discussed, and other items not listed may also be brought up for discussion to the extent permitted by law. We lost some friends and neighbors this week, and Mark and I were just talking about one of them is the gentleman who lives just a couple of houses away from us. And I'm going to read their names, and then can we please stand for a moment of silence? James Eagleson, Brenda Giles, Alan Medeiros, and Donald McConnor. Thank you. We're going to get right into schedules of appointments. Do you want to come up now? Okay. This is for the Board of Selectmen Parks Recreation Committee joint meeting. We're going to interview Patrick Leduc, interview Mark Pacheco, and review, act, and discuss and appoint Parks and Recreation members.
So I'm going to call the Parks and Recreation special meeting to order at 6:31 p.m. Kevin Smith is present.
Rachel Goulart is present.
Okay, whenever you're ready, Kevin.
Right. Well, we'll just we'll do alphabetical order.
Okay.
We'll have Mr. Ledoux come up first, and
Welcome.
Good evening, guys.
Good evening.
kind of want me to just lead the way, Mr. Karen?
Sure.
Okay. All right, so we had a chance, we received your volunteer applications. Thank you for sending them in. You both look, I just want to start off saying that you guys both look like great candidates. Just so you're both aware, I'll just say at one time this is an interim position for an elected position. So you'll be filling in and from now until our annual town election in April. And at that point, if you choose to stay on the commission, you'll have to run for election to get reelected to that position. But I just kind of wanted to very loose, not a hefty interview. Just tell us a little bit about yourselves and why you're interested in the position.
So my name is Patrick Leduc. I'm 33 years old. I've been a lifelong Dayton resident. I have, went through K through 12, 2011 DR graduate. And I think I got the idea to always want to be part of, giving back to the community. I've served on various boards, including the board of directors at a golf course. I was appointed as a fleet captain at the Charlotte Yacht Club down the street. And I actually got the idea to volunteer for the Parks and Recs. I think I had an idea about putting a hockey rink over by the town hall. I thought, coming back for the tree lighting every year, that would be something that the community would use. I reached out to the Parks and Recs Commission and was able to attend a meeting and, kind of put forth my idea. And I found out about the potential opening and said, hey, I'll throw my name in. Something certainly to give back to the community. I think my experience and training, I think I have a lot to bring to the table, with the various trainings I've received through work and scheduling, organizing events. Certainly my love for Dayton is, first and foremost, Mr. Karen can probably attest that I went through, the little leagues and baseball stuff. I was not a great athlete, but, I went to kindergarten in the quarter and played pop water football. So I think first and foremost is to give back to Dayton. Like I said in my application, I certainly chose to move back to Dayton to raise my family here. So I think at the time of my application, my son was due at the end of August. He decided to come 2 months early.
Wow, congratulations.
Yep, thank you very much. So, next. I don't know how much questions you guys have.
So my main question, I think, so I know you would come to the meeting with us and you brought up the hockey rink, we were looking into that, thinking about that idea. But have you been thinking of, are there any other ideas you've been thinking about or different events or ways to change some things or just anything in particular you've been thinking about?
So I'm not exactly sure on what events the town or that you guys run. I think certainly the parks, you guys do a great job of maintaining them, taking care of them. We can drive around the town and they're used all the time. I know that the Easter egg hunt was the most recent one. I'm not sure how much of a part you guys have in like the tree lighting and festivities like that. I think that's certainly the one that, I think is the biggest probably event for the town. That I think that there's different things that we could do within reason. That's probably the ideas that I have most is that, tree lighting event. So probably nothing specific. I think, once I learn more about what specific events that you guys run, I'm certainly can bring forward a lot of ideas, I'm sure.
My big question was gonna be like, what's your why? That's one thing that comes across in my profession all the time is like, what's your why? But you kind of answered it, coming from Dayton, just.
Yeah.
You have that fully covered.
I think I've always wanted to be part of the Dayton community in some fashion. I always knew that and not necessarily, I'm a federal employee, so I can't really be a politician. So I think this is a perfect opportunity to, be part of something that's, not necessarily in politics, but it's a way to give back and, be involved in the town. Santa throwing lollipops and all the great stuff that makes Dayton the community that it is.
Absolutely.
And then I guess my last question is, are you aware of kind of what our role is? We did try to outline it in the description, but I think one thing that I like to emphasize, and that we've all learned is I think everybody has this notion that Parks and Rec is very much like the party planning committee, and it's very much not. So I kind of want to just make sure that, what do you think your main role is going to be?
So I think I'm probably the best suited at planning events. I know that you mentioned party planning, but I think I'll just bring up my idea with the hockey rink. It's not just, hey, let's call up a contractor and, get a hockey rink built and figure out how to fund it. It was, hey, we have to clear it with the highway department. Who's going to maintain it? Do we have the adequate space? Is there liability concerns? So I know it's more than just, hey, let's, throw an event, put a calendar out there. There's a lot more that goes into planning an event that you don't even think about. Who's going to maintain it? Who's going to set it up? Who's going to add, I'll bring that up again, add water to something like that. Safety and all those concerns. So I certainly know there's more than just, hey, let's have a party and invite the town. So I think my role, pretty good at working with various committees and departments. Just at my employer alone, I volunteered my time on a couple things, enable the people a new professional network, which we kind of outside of collective bargaining, it was an opportunity for the employees to talk to other employees of, various changes, not necessarily to go through a union, but hey, we don't have a good collaboration space. So we worked with the facilities department and security where I work, and we got collaboration centers put in place. So if somebody wants to have a quick meeting, they can do it. I said, hey, if somebody wants to have a private phone call, I think a great idea would be to have a little phone booth. And that was actually brought to fruition a few years ago. So certainly unique ideas I have with various committees department. I'm not sure the golf course board of directors would be, although I think you guys run the golf tournament. So,
well, not just that, but like you're working as a committee, so you're going through like, the motions of, conducting meetings and operating in that fashion.
And then the fleet captain, I was only that for a short period of time. I got involved in, at one time I played golf, at one time I did a lot of boating. Now, getting married and raising a family and change my priorities.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you guys have questions?
Well, technically, you guys make your recommendation to us and then we approve it. But since this is a joint meeting, we do have the opportunity to ask questions.
Yeah, we'd be more than
So
happy to have
if
you do
don't
so.
mind, 33 years old,
Yep.
And have you been to many of the events besides Christmas tree lighting and Easter egg hunt?
So I went to, I guess, those are probably the two that I always came back for.
Yeah,
Other, I can't say, but I've certainly went to every Dayton event.
Sure.
Certainly, every year I make it a big point to go stand outside for the Santa Claus, and even, I don't know, it was my little cousins at the time.
yeah,
But certainly the tree lighting is the one that I.
sure,
come back for.
absolutely.
Obviously, as a child growing up in town, I, sang in all the things and, went to all the Little League stuff.
Right.
Mr. Gay was the president.
Yes, he was.
Certainly as a child, up until I was 18, I certainly attended a lot more stuff than I
Yeah.
became an adult. I didn't have a family. Now I think my focus is having a family. I will be, ensuring that my son is part of the community that I grew up in is kind of my focus.
Great. Nicole, do you have any questions?
No, I don't.
Mark, do you have any questions?
I'll ask some questions. Alrighty, working on a board, you work collaboratively with people of varying opinions and beliefs. Please describe how you work with others of varying opinions and how you get your point across.
So I think that's obviously the most challenging part of being on any committee or board. And from my experience, I think it's important for everybody's opinion and voice to be heard. The one thing that comes to mind is the Enable the People effort, where I work is a very diverse organization, and we made sure that we were putting together we called it an IPT, that we had a mix of kind of every group. Specifically, we hired a lot of folks from University of Puerto Rico, and that's something that I can certainly not experience as going to college somewhere else, moving to the States. But we wanted to make sure that we had voices on our team that could relate to those challenges. And I think the most important thing is just everybody's voice is heard, and then you come to one common goal. Obviously, every idea is might not be put to fruition at the time, but we always keep. I'm big on keeping a list, whether it's lesson learned list or kind of ideas that you review every 3 months or 3 meetings, where, hey, somebody had an idea to do this. Well, hey, we have a little extra money, or this could be a good idea now, or something happens in the town that you decide you want to put forth that idea. So I've always been pretty good at working with people and getting my point across and listening to others, obviously be respectful and all that. But I think on any committee, it's important to have a diverse group of opinions, genders, experiences, background, and all that stuff. So.
Perfect. I have 2 more questions, but they're shorter. Are you familiar with the open meeting law?
I am.
Okay, perfect.
I don't know that I can recite the law. I certainly
fine.
have in the town. I think I do watch a lot of the YouTube videos, I will say, on various things. So I'm sorry familiar with that. I've attended a few of the planning board meetings. I don't know that I've ever attended a select board meeting in person. Around last year, I certainly paid attention to the chief of police things, and that was good to see the community come together and all that. So yeah, I am familiar with the law.
Great. If appointed, the town clerk will give you a copy of it. That is
Yep.
great. Some information. My last question is, as Kevin Smith alluded to, it's normally an elected position. And at the conclusion of this term, the appointed candidate would hopefully run. And being an elected official, your name and address is public record and knowledge. And is that something that you would be comfortable with doing?
Yep, absolutely. Like I mentioned, I knew that this position might be open for an appointment, and whenever the term ends, I think it's this year. You said this year in April. So I knew that in mind when I decided to put in the volunteer application. So certainly no issue with my address and all that stuff. So, and I certainly have appointed, and given the opportunity, I certainly would be interested in running again.
Awesome. Thank you. That's all I have.
Do you have any other questions? No?
Okay.
Through the chair, I normally we don't do this, but I feel I have to ask Patrick a follow-up question. So I'm a member of the BOD. This is an elected position.
Yep.
This will be an elected position. I just want to make sure that your role as a government employee doesn't preclude you from running.
Yep, absolutely great question. I didn't know if that was going to be brought up. So I'm very familiar with all the laws pertaining to my position in the federal government. The biggest one is I can't run in a partisan election, which this is certainly not a partisan election. So yeah, I'm very familiar. My direct supervisor has been informed that I did put my name in the hat for this. So yeah, I'm aware of all those rules and certainly make sure that there's no conflicts of interest in any way, shape or form with my official federal position.
Great.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
No, Mr. Pacheco? Good, how are you? Nice to meet you.
Yeah, we haven't met yet.
So again, thank you for sending in your volunteer application, and you have the advantage of having Mr. Ledoux go first, so you kind of know what we're gonna ask. So I'll just kind of kick it off with like, the biggest thing for me is what's your why, what makes you want to get involved and be on the Parks and Rec Commission?
Dayton, always, I've loved Dayton. My wife's been here ever since she was born. I was here, actually right in front of the school from the time I was about 8 years old till my father passed. My mom had to move away. We had our kids, we moved right back, and ever since, we've always been a part. My wife was a teacher at the school for 20 years. I coached Pop Warner for like 6 years, my daughter cheerleading, and we've just always been a big part. We did the food drive over here almost every weekend for a long time, every other, I think it was, but I had a in at the fire department because I know Eddie Dutra pretty good years ago, and it didn't work out. It didn't work out at the time. Something was going on over there. I always wanted to be in the same part of the town or something, because this is a place we've lived and I love, and I'm a family person, so Dayton's a great place to me to raise kids and just be a part of it.
How old are your kids?
24 and 25. Well, will be 25. I lost one.
Well, I'll ask the same question. Have you, in your time, after applying and whatnot, have you put any thought to, I will put this out there. I know a lot of people don't realize what we actually do. And it's funny, every time we meet new people, we realize that more and more. But is there any events that you've kind of thought of that you wanted to add to anything, or anything that you've ever been to that you've wanted to change up, or just any ideas you've had that maybe you don't see happening in the town right now that you would like to make something new or add to, or,
I think I'd have to think a little more on it, but I always thought something, there's not much for kids to do anymore, and I always thought exercise. I don't know. Since I was growing up, my dad put me in every sport you could think of, every boxing, exercise, workout, and I love how we've always had the little exercise thing over here, and I just feel like something a little more structural, timed and scheduled, where kids could come, and there's someone that could show them how to do, even if it's an hour here and there. I feel like it would help let the energy out and give them a little discipline.
Right. Okay. That's a good idea.
Okay, I don't have any questions. Do you?
No.
Mark, you got the same 3 questions?
I do.
Great.
So working in boards, you work collaboratively with people of varying opinions and beliefs. Please describe how you work with others with varying opinions and how you get a point across.
Easily. And at my job, they call me the problem solver. So I'm a go-to with anyone. It doesn't matter who, what, where. I love everyone. So I'm always positive where everyone I can be and try to turn every situation into a positive one.
Beautiful. Are you familiar with the open meeting law?
Slightly.
Okay. As I said, if you're successfully appointed, the town clerk gives you the law, and there's resources for additional trainings on that. And that's something, as if you're on any board, we have to follow the open meeting law. And my last question is, this is an elected position. So if successfully appointed, you would be, we hope that you would run for the position. And being a public employee elected, your name and address is public information. Is this something that you're comfortable with? Okay, thank you.
I guess just to, Lassa, is there anything else that you want to, share with us about yourself that just kind of pertains to the role you're seeking, or?
No, believe it or not, it was a little bit of luck. I lived down on Forest and Tremont. My wife was driving by, seen the sign. She sent it to me and I said, yeah, why not?
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie, I didn't think I was gonna hear back. And when I did, I was hesitant, nervous, because I've never went for this, anything like this before. But again, I said, I love Dayton, so I'm going for it.
Awesome. All right, thank you very
All
much.
right, thank you guys.
Thank you.
Mike.
I think the expectation is that we'll make our recommendation,
Okay,
right?
yep.
Okay. So I mean, we can kind of openly discuss. First off, I think you're both great, you know, especially reading through both of your resumes or your volunteer applications and both of your kind of professional experience, both of your ties to Dayton are great. You'd both be an asset to us, you know, and the Parks and Rec Commission. I think you both can bring some different things to the table. I know, like, I look at Mr. Pacheco's and like, I come from a construction background. I'm a little bit more hands-on involved in things, especially like, you know, some of our playground projects and stuff like that.
Yeah, which is great so that I don't have to do anything.
No, and then, you know, I don't want to speak for Rachel, but I was just like, I think, you know, Mr. Ledoux kind of has ties a little bit closer to Rachel, but you guys both also have a good mix. So before we, you know, have any discussion and make any decision, one thing I just want to emphasize is I think either of you would be great and it would work out perfectly fine for all three of us. Whoever's not appointed, our meetings are public meetings. You're more than welcome to come. Please come, stay involved, let your voice be heard. It might not be that you have like the technical vote of being, you know, an official committee member, but we're always open. I think Mr. Ledoux can attest to that, is we're open to hearing your ideas and trying to pursue them and involving the community more. And two, we never know, you know, I don't know how long I'll be on the commission. Rachel doesn't know. So there's always going to be another opportunity. And I think it's a good experience to just stay involved, even if it's just a member of the public, to kind of learn and grow with the committee. And, you know, then you have that opportunity to, you know, come into that role, you know, officially if another opportunity knocks.
And to add to that, to say, as a member of the community, we had somebody approach us a few years back with the pickleball idea. And they took that and went running with it. That completely came from somebody outside. That was not necessarily, not even, that was not our idea. So they came to us with it. They kept coming to meetings. We all worked together. That was really an outside community driven idea that we obviously approved. We had to go through the whole process of meetings, but if you ever drive by the pickleball, I don't think there's a single time of day that thing is not jamming with people. It was such a great idea, and that did not come from us. So I think it's very important, if you really are interested in being a part of, be a part of, even if, you know, if you don't get the opportunity to be on the board, because yes, you got to vote with us, but you still have such a voice, even if you're not an official member. So just, you know, that's all.
Want to take a second to think about it? Do you have one or the other that we're gonna make? We're gonna make a recommendation.
Oh, we're gonna discuss this later.
You guys got a tough choice.
Yeah, it is. And, you know, and that's not, we're not trying to be nice. It's the truth. Like,
Yeah, we discussed it beforehand too, and we said that you were both great, so we're really not just trying to be nice. It's-
yeah, no, I don't have if you're comfortable staying, we're comfortable. Like, yeah. But you're not gonna walk out the door and we're not gonna say, you know what, I really didn't like him. Yeah. I kind of lean a little bit more that way. Do you want to make them just so I don't
think, mostly if we have to mention, because being a,
yeah, I mean,
if I'm just saying if there needs to be a.
No, I mean, if you want to give a reason, you can. I don't think you necessarily have to, but.
What,
So it would be a motion to recommend the Board of Selectmen appoint.
okay, so I will make a motion to recommend that the Board of Selectmen appoint Patrick Ledoux as our new commission member.
And I'll step down as the chair in a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, so your recommendation is Pat?
Patrick. Mr.
Okay.
Ledoux, yes.
You guys, I've heard everything I needed to hear.
Me too.
You guys as well. So it's just a motion on the floor to accept.
Make a motion to accept the recommendation of the Parks and Recreation Commission as presented.
I'll second that.
Motion has been made and seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, guys.
Thank
Aye.
you. Pleasure meeting
Thank
you
you
guys.
guys both very much.
Yeah.
Well, we're gonna just adjourn and we'll, so. motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn at 6:54.
All right, second.
All right,
All those in favor?
aye.
All right, Parks and Rec is adjourned.
What's going on with the garden? Anything?
It's
Just
a
kinda
kind of a
on hold?
saga. No, actually, I just this week, actually, if you don't mind, well, yeah, so I know we're open, so.
Yeah.
Just this week, I actually talked to somebody, another town resident, this kind of ties into something I wanted to say before I go. Another town resident reached out to help clean up with that. It's just one of those things, it's,
Okay.
you know,
Yeah.
it's tough to get people
Right, sure.
involved. And
So
over
he's
there.
cleaning up at least.
Yeah, cleaning up. We were able though, and I kind of recapped this with Selectman Mello during our Commission on Disability meeting, because co-op wants to get involved over there. We were able to, with some of our funds at the end of the year, get a good lawnmower, get a good weed whacker. Plus now I'm starting to hear from some people that want to
Okay,
help get it
good.
cleaned back up. So hoping to kind of turn that around
Okay.
and end the year good and then start the next year.
Not
good.
start next year.
Yeah.
All right, great.
And then the other thing is, there's been some kind of riffraff at the Timothy Ryan's, what's going to be the Timothy Ryan's playground over on School Lane and School Street and Palmer Street. The police have been doing an excellent job of checking in on that. I just want to thank the St. Laurent family for going, they've helped pick up trash and keep an eye on it. Mr. Galucci's is in the crowd, who kind of regularly lets us know that things are going on. There's another gentleman that lives in the neighborhood, maybe Mr. Galucci can help me, because I don't know why, but I deleted the message, and he helped clean up spread out the mulch for us. I think it was Brian something. I don't think it was a Rosa. It will come to me, but I just wanted. Yeah. But I just wanted to say thanks, because that's again, something I should have kind of mentioned when we were talking to the two candidates is, this is just a volunteer position. We don't get paid. We all have real full-time jobs. So it's kind of tough to keep up with stuff. So we just really, really appreciate when the public, steps up and helps do those little
Sure.
things. So,
Okay, we'll put the announcement out too.
all right. Thank you guys very much.
Thank you. guys.
Thank you.
Congratulations. and Thank you for coming, both of you. Mark, I'd like to say it was your idea to put it on the sign. He saw the sign and he came.
I love it.
Mark,
Yes,
you're up
thanks,
next,
Mark.
sir. This is a update from the library.
It's. Ready?
Yes,
How y'all doing?
I'm doing excellent, thank you.
All right, good, good. So a lot's been happening in the library, and I think the last update I came before to give you, I think was about a year ago. And lots.
Has it been that long?
Yeah, time flies,
Yeah,
which means we're having a lot of fun.
sure.
Yep, so basically what I wanted to say, there's lots been happening. We put the flooring in. So when I say we put the flooring in, we carpeted the entryway. We refinished the original hardwood floors in the main hall, which looks great. We put vinyl planking in the restrooms, the program room, and the staff offices. That all looks very good. The highway department is finishing up on the interior carpentry. We also have a contractor working on the exterior carpentry to make the exterior look like that photo that's always circulated from 1910. So that's gonna look really cool with the columns put on the entryway there. And the electrician started. I'm excited to say that shelving installation is gonna happen next week with me and the help of the highway department. So that's great. That puts us just a few steps away from putting books in the building. And then once the books from the building were there, we're waiting on the light fixtures to be installed. We got the approval to put in the shelving along the perimeter. Initially, it's going to go on the walls, the perimeter, not in the interior, because we're going to hang light fixtures from there. And that's for reasons we're not going to put the shelving there. We need to get up to the shelving, and knock on wood, if there's a crash bang boom, we don't want any of that. So we're doing that. And then the fire chief, once he sees the shelving, is going to give us the okay for occupancy on when to start putting books in.
Okay,
I'm hoping that's going to come beginning early August, but there's just a few more boxes to check on that. Once I get the okay with occupancy, I can go ahead and set a date for the grand opening, which we're targeting a mid-September grand opening ribbon cutting on a Saturday. There are some dates I have in mind. The reason I'm not putting those dates out there is I'm waiting for the occupancy. And the reason I'm waiting for that is because we can get it done or we can get it done right. I choose to get it done right. And so I want to make sure that when occupancy to put books in there is granted, I give myself and the staff enough time to actually put the books on the shelves. And we're not just running around with, chickens with their heads cut off like the day before the ribbon cutting, trying to get everything the way it's supposed to be. I want to make sure we have plenty of time to do that. So if occupancy comes early enough and I can set the date, we're going to do that. I do know that after Labor Day, the unit will close so that we can move everything over there regardless of when the occupancy happens. It'll happen in August, but Labor Day, we're going to shut down that unit. So that'll just be a few steps away from an actual library. So the staff's really excited about that. We've had several meetings with the trustees and the friends of the library, and we've come up with a nice little ceremony for the ribbon cutting on that Saturday, whatever Saturday it falls on. It's actually pretty cool. It's gonna, so when 395 Main Street was first opened, they had the opening and everybody walked down to Smith Memorial Hall for the reception.
Oh, wow.
Which I think is,
That's cool.
yeah, that is pretty cool. So Chair Ronald Connor had the idea of this procession. And so we talked with the Rougeos. We're gonna have this we're gonna have a tractor ride for a few people down the hill to 207. And we're gonna have some books with us. They're like the ceremonial books, like, okay, we'll arrive and say, okay, we have the books, we're gonna finish the move now. And then those are gonna be presented to the trustees and staff to finish the move. We have a slate of speakers, 4 speakers, who will keep maybe talking for 3 or 4 minutes each. Those speakers will be me doing a welcome, Ron O'Connor as chair of the library trustees and co-chair of the building committee, Ken Pacheco as co-chair of the building committee, and Zach Lapointe as chair of the Friends of the Dayton Public Library. And then I'll finish up with a long list of thank yous because this project has been in the works for a long time. And I want to make sure everybody who contributed in some way gets acknowledged. So I want to make sure to do that. And then we're gonna cut the ribbon and we'll have an open working library at 207 Main Street.
Great.
We're really excited about that. And we have a full slate of activities for that following week, following after ribbon cutting too, to really, so it's not just an opening day, it's gonna be an opening week with a ribbon cutting happening on that Saturday. So I wish I could come with you for an exact specific date. It's gonna be this particular day. We're not quite there yet. There are a few boxes we need to check to get there, but
That'll happen soon enough.
Yes, it'll happen really soon. But it hasn't happened yet, but what we're targeting for, I think, is still on track.
Sure.
And the most important part is we're working on a lot of different budget lines and we're in the black on all of those.
Yeah, that's one of the things that, not to interrupt you, I'm sorry.
Yep.
Okay, finish.
I was pretty much.
Okay, staff.
Yeah.
Are you going to have enough staff to do this?
Yes.
Okay, so
Yep.
nobody additional has to be hired.
Nope. We're gonna have the help of the highway department to move. And then once staff moves in, staffing levels will be what they were at 395 Main Street. And
Okay,
the hours, the trustees voted on the hours. It's gonna be pretty much what they were at 395 Main Street. So
Sure.
the overall hours for the week, there's one day that's different, but the overall hours are gonna total exactly work with 395 Main Street.
okay,
And the staffing level there was sufficient and the staffing level at 207 will be sufficient as well.
okay. Well, thank you for your enthusiasm and it's a long time in coming. And it's very happy to hear that we're right around the corner from opening up. I think the public has waited a long time.
It's been a long time coming and I'm excited to
Sure.
really help it get across the finish line.
Okay.
Mhm.
Nicole, do you have any
No,
comments? Mark?
Thank you for your enthusiasm and you kind of answered my questions because it's on financially, you're within budget.
Yes.
And as far as hitting your dates, it sounds like you're on track as far as your timeline goes.
Yes.
Okay, and I guess, what are you guys gonna do to let the public know that you're opening?
Okay, that's a great question. So we're gonna do it on social media, but let's see, what date, did I write the date down? Oh, I didn't write the date down. The 4th Thursday in August, I'm gonna give a nice little preview talk right here at Old Town Hall. If anybody wants to come, I'll have up-to-date photographs of the full slate of events that's going on. So I'm gonna do that. I'm actually, you just approached me.
Yes.
Chairman, about.
2 weeks.
Yes, in 2
Right.
weeks, we'll be doing that
Yeah,
video.
then we're just gonna make an announcement.
Yep. I hope, in 2 weeks, I hope.
If you have a date, that would be
Yeah,
great too.
Exactly.
Sure.
Yep, so we're getting the word out and the friends are gonna help us with that as well.
Fantastic.
We're actually meeting with the friends and trustees jointly tomorrow night to really hash all that out.
Thank you, that's great
Thank you.
news.
Thank you very much.
Okay,
Thank
well,
you.
thank you, Mark. Sarah, you're up.
Hello,
appointment of the,
Election workers.
was that election workers?
Yes.
Yep.
Yep, so I would like to recommend the annual appointment of election workers as per the attached presented list in your packet. I would also like to make a note that we have, please note that corrected terms are also presented in your packet. Not what was listed on the actual agenda.
Okay. I don't have any questions. Nicole, do you?
No.
Mark, do you?
I just think listing the parties on the form is very transparent, and so I thank you for that. That's all.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, we don't have to read each name, so we can just make a motion as printed.
I'll make a motion to appoint the election workers for the annual reappointment for the dates August 16, 25 to August 15, 26, as presented and recommended by the town clerk.
I'll second that.
Motion has been made and seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye. Before you leave though, could we take the resignation of Cheryl Wick out of order? Because I just
Sure.
had some discussion on that.
Yep.
So at this time, I'll make a motion to take the letter from Cheryl Wick, resignation of board of registrars out of order.
I'll second that.
Motion has been made and seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
So I just figured it makes sense with the town clerk here.
Sure.
So a resignation from the board of registrars, my understanding is, once they resign and we accept it, a letter has to go to the local Democratic Party soliciting 3 names of candidates for registrars for the Board of Selectmen to appoint. If there's not a local board of, if it's not a local Democratic Party, I believe you would ask the state. And then if there's no one, then we could solicit any names we wanted. So I just want to make sure for the public, is that something that
Yes.
to do?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
So we do not have a official Democratic town committee.
Okay,
So then, yes, I would go to the state and follow the guidelines.
okay. And if the state doesn't give us, like the state committee doesn't give us any locals,
Yep.
we can put it on the website and
As
announce the
the
vacancy.
Maybe like the strawberry vine and kind of get it out there.
Okay,
Why does it just go to the Democratic?
I believe she's a registered Democrat. It would go to, you have to be equally balanced by party, so you need it as balanced as possible. Is what's the makeup now? Do you know?
The other 2 registrars are Republicans.
Okay, so it would have to be a
They have
Democrat.
to be Democrats.
The only one that can be unenrolled on a board of registrars is the town clerk.
Thank you. Good to know.
Yes, so I'm on top of it.
Great, thank you so
Okay.
much.
Thank you.
That's all I had. So I'll make a motion to accept the letter from Cheryl Wick with thanks and appreciation.
I'll second that.
Motion has been made and seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye,
Aye.
thank you.
Missy, how are you? Yeah, it's you.
So I'm here to talk about your trash program,
Mhm.
your recycling program. So my name is Missy Hollenbach, and I work for the Mass Department of Environmental Protection in the Waste Reduction Branch. My job is called the Municipal Assistance Coordinator, or MAC, and I help 43 towns down here in the southern part of the state. Starts up around Avon, Milton, and goes all the way down to Fall River, New Bedford. And I work with municipalities. I've been working with Dayton a year and a half, 2 years.
Yes, I think it's going on 2
your
years.
program and your contracting. So pretty familiar with Dayton. And like I said, one of my goals is to help you guys reduce your trash. So I'm here to talk about the thoughts that you, Ralph, yep, thank you. To talk about the proposal that you have for having an enterprise fund where you have $7 for large bags and $3.50 for the small bag to fund your entire Dayton trash program. So let's take a look at that with that. So I'm going to take a big step back and give you some information on a macro level. So in the state of Massachusetts, we throw away 6 million tons of trash. 500,000 tons go to the 5 landfills that we have in the state. By 2031, we expect to have or estimate to have 1 landfill left. They might squeeze out a little bit more, but the end is very near. The other 3 million tons goes to waste incinerators. Yours goes to CMAS, or what it's called ReWorld now. And again, those are elderly plants. They're in their 20s. They're designed to last about 20 some years. So they're kind of elderly on life support, kind of keeping them going as long as we can. And the reason for that is because there's a moratorium. We can't build anymore in the state. And everyone goes, why? And I'm like, well, do you want one in your town? So that just shuts it down right there. So we're looking at capacity issues. So what's happening now is 43% of our trash is being sent by railroad cars out of state. And that number has gone up quite dramatically over the years. That is adding a lot more cost to our program, and it's adding a lot more uncertainty to our program. All you need is a strike in, Ohio, or we need a tornado down in Kentucky as it's going down to Alabama to be dropped off. So these are not being railroaded, nearby. It's Ohio, it's Alabama, it's South Carolina. So these are long trips, so a lot can happen. Up next. So I'm going to talk about the two components of a solid waste program. One is called a fixed cost, and that is basically your Borges collection contract. So your first year with a contract that's going to be $498,000, and that's not really going to change. If everyone in Dayton won a whole contest and all went on a boat trip, for 3 weeks, that's not going to affect your price. That's going to be what it is. A variable cost, as the name suggests, are annual increases of processing for trash and recycling. Borges contract only pays for pretty much half of the program. The other component is the disposal fees, and those are very expensive. So right now, for calendar year 2025, you're currently will be paying $87.84 to throw away the trash. Borges picks it up, and then to dispose of it is $87.84 a ton. For recycling, you pay for recycling as well. And currently that rate is $110 for recycling to be processed. We're also looking at diesel fuel has really changed the industry a lot with the surcharges and pricing going up and down. We really can't predict what it's going to be. And it's always, of course, seems to happen at the worst time. The other thing is the bags themselves, the prices are increasing. The other thing is unexpected costs to the transfer station. I believe last year we were looking at a really huge increase because the cardboard got wet or something. So that really shifted the program a lot and had a lot of unexpected costs. Then the other thing is that things we can't predict. Industry, the sudden changes in the industry, like strikes, like the one that's going on with Republic right now. Borges isn't going to go on strike, but the other places that you take your facility, your materials to those facilities, they could go on strike. The other thing that is a huge concern right now are fires, mainly because of our rechargeable batteries. Those things catch on fire like crazy in the trash trucks and the dumpsters. Even in an incinerator, it sounds stupid, but there's fires there. They can happen before they're in the official burn place. And these are happening more and more frequently. And that will cause costs that you're not going to know about, because if, let's say, where your recycling currently goes now, if that catches on fire and they need to shut it down, your recycling then needs to go somewhere further away, which could potentially adding costs that you don't know about or how long it will go. That happened with the Avon waste management facility last year. It did cause a huge influx of that. So again, these are things that have no control over, but they will affect, and they do affect your trash program. So here's a little snippet of your Borges contract, 3 pages long. Most of the contracts I see are 40 to 80 pages long and go through everything. And this is a very fair contract. Borges, you have a great relationship with them. They do, a great work with the town. But again, they're a small hauler, and they only work with the collection of your stuff at the curb or at your transfer station. The other part that you have no control over are the disposal parts. So currently right now, like I said, your trash tonnage is $87.41 a year. And then the following year, it's gonna go up over $20. That's gonna be a huge hit for you. And then over that, it stabilizes about, $5 or $6. It's kind of a normal thing. So the other part that we want to talk about is recycling. So yes, in Massachusetts, get this out of the way here. Yes, in Massachusetts, your recycling gets recycled. What we do is we work, for one thing, these items are banned, recycled materials are banned, and they become a commodity the minute they hit your curb, that there is a value for that out there somewhere. And this is why we want you to buy recycled materials. In Massachusetts, we have a 2030 master plan because we have those capacity issues. And what our goals have been over the last 20 years is we're working really hard to keep our trash tonnage down in the state. This is why we added mattresses. This is why we added textiles. These are why we add these things to these banned lists, to keep that tonnage down. And they even have a program where they have people like me to run around and help you doing that kind of thing. Other states don't have that. So everything I do is to get a town to decrease their trash. The other thing is, we work with the MRFs, and the MRF is a material recovery facility, basically where your recycling goes. So we work very closely with them, asking them very specifically, what do you want? How do you want it? Why do we work with them, whereas other states don't. So we know that our stuff is going to be recycled because we're working so closely with them in the markets. So when you read those articles about, things not getting recycled, that's in other states. So as long as you follow our rules from recyclesmartma.org, you can go to there and find out any information on recycling. But as long as that's happening, recycling is happening. That's up. Okay. Once upon a time in recycling, prior to 2017, China decided to have what they call Operation National Sword, where they refused to take a recycling because it was contaminated. We were sending a lot of bad stuff. Back then, a municipality actually made money on their recycling, and a lot of communities actually paid for their whole entire trash program on their recycling. After the Chinese National Sword, they started charging processing fees, and the prices have gone up, and now you can see they're triple digits, $110, they're even higher. So what's now happening is the market is stabilizing. And the companies realize they made a lot of money out of that processing fee. They have a fixed fee that's coming in. And so they're making a lot of money, record-breaking profits. And what they're doing, though, is they're giving back some of the revenue share or profit share for those recycled materials when they sell them on the market. They're giving them back to the town. You have to work on your contract with how much you get back with them. Unfortunately, because Borges is a very small player, they're not able to work with a hauler, actually a MRF, that will pay them, which means that you won't be getting that money, any of that refund or rebate money back. So you're strictly going to be paying that processing fee.
So there's no good news here.
Yes. It's something I would like to work on as a project with it. I have some ideas on maybe we can do something, but for right now, that's how it is. So basically, the more you recycle in Dayton, the more it's going to cost you.
Yeah.
And right now, it's more than your trash.
Right.
So let's see. So next one. So I'm going to take a step back now about pay-as-you-throw. You've had pay-as-you-throw in Dayton for quite a while. You do a great job at it. You have low trash tonnage, but talk a little bit about more the design of it. KT is designed to reduce trash tonnage. That's why it was created. It's basic behavioral modification. Residents will look harder at ways to save money. Stop and think about it when last time you were on an airplane and you had a choice of paying to have your luggage checked, or maybe you could get it free if you did carry-on. Everyone wants to do the carry-on. They're jamming their stuff in there. And that's the same thing that happens with pay-as-you-throw. It's the mentality of that. Basically, it's an incentive for saving money by using fewer bags or smaller bags. So this way that residents can do this is they can increase the recycling. And that's really not a bad idea, but in Dayton, because of your system, it's actually going to cost you more. Residents can also look to composting, donating, and other projects that I'm working on in the town to help reduce those trash tonnage. But all of these things basically lead to residents using fewer or smaller bags. And the other thing is, I have pay as you throw in my town, you guys have it too, but residents will try and squash more in a smaller bag. It causes rips, you get complaints to the town, and it can add more weight to a smaller bag. And this can throw off your financial models if you're trying to figure out, based on what people did in the past. When the price goes up, people will start changing. Pay-as-you-throw programs are generally involve a two-tiered or even a three-tiered funding system that combines a flat fee or a tax subsidy and the unit-based fee. The unit-based fee is the plastic bag charge for your residents. The flat fee / tax subsidy provides revenue stability to municipal program and ensures that the fixed costs, your contract, the fixed costs are covered. So the bag fee, the unit-based bag fee covers the variable cost for disposal and provides financial incentive for residents to recycle and compost more, to make it smaller. So basically another way to look at it is the bag fee should be covering about half of your program. And the thing is, your residents can control what they put in their trash, so they can control the trash tonnage. Next one, Ralph, please. So how do others pay for their trash and recycling? So we collect a lot of data every year, one of the only states in the country that does this. And so this is how other municipalities pay for their trash programs. This is all the trash programs in general. So right now, the most popular one are straight property tax. I can tell you our data is a year behind. I know that a lot of towns already have switched to property tax and annual fees. So this information is a little old already, because a lot of towns are going through financial issues and they're really trying to save more money for their schools, their police, their other items. So they're looking up, like you are, to other ways to pay for these programs. So currently right now, though, the most popular one is property tax, followed by a property tax and the pay-T bag costs. The next one would be annual fee, a flat annual fee. And an example of that is one of my towns is Hopkinton. They have, I think it's a $650 flat annual fee for their trash. That's what residents pay. And then another one would be property tax and an annual fee. And then it goes down. There's so many different flavors, as long as it's allowable by the state, towns have come up with it. So how are funding programs paid for? The funding sources for pay-T curbside or both programs. So communities that have, again, property tax is the #1 way. Again, annual fee, property tax and pay-T is again another one, annual fee and pay-T. And if what you notice here, it's always more than one. You really have this balance that you have almost 2 revenue sources coming in, because you really do need to be able to cover that fixed cost. Next slide, please. So there are some towns who pay exclusively for their trash service with pay-T bags. They are all drop-off communities. Once you start having a curbside program, that means you have a fixed contract cost. They do not. The other thing I can tell you, I didn't want to go too crazy with data here, is most of these communities, as you can see, are on the Cape or in Central Mass. And the other thing is that most of these communities, they might have that transfer station and that pay-T drop-off bags, but also a large percentage of their residents actually contact private haulers. So residents just, don't like that. So, next one. So an example, I have a colleague up in Central Mass. A couple of months ago, they just instituted a $7 bag fee, but they only have it for one bag. Ashby went to this model because they are part of a regional school district. The funding changed on that. They're also small, rural. They don't have a large commercial base, and they were really struggling with the prices, and they needed to fund their transfer station. So what they did is they have the $7 bag for one 35-gallon bag or 33-gallon bag. Again, right now, that is the highest in the state. They have recyclables where residents can drop it off, and it costs $7 flat fee every time you drop your recycling off. Then they implemented a transfer station sticker fee, which they didn't have before, $50. They charge the standard prices for residents dropping off furniture and tires, all that. And I asked my colleague, so how's it going? She said, well, they have 50 people that have signed up. Normally they'd have 300. She said, it's dying. It's going to be gone unless they do something or change it. Residents don't want to do that. That is very expensive for them. And they don't give them options of different bag size. They figured they may as well just go for that private hauler. So my concern is what would happen, oops, next one. What would happen to your enterprise fund if residents bought fewer large bags or they use more smaller bags, switch? Your bag revenue would decrease. They switch from large bags to small bags, but your fixed costs are going to stay the same. That collection cost is always going to be there, and that's not going to change. And these are not fantasy, things that happen. These are real life things that we've seen over the past 20 or 30 years of actually happening to programs and when it happens. So the other thing is, large bags, the shift from large bags to smaller bags can happen for a bunch of different reasons. And also not just this larger to smaller, but fewer bags. So you have population shifts, snowbirds, empty nesters, single residents, economic downturn. We've seen this across the state when we measure the trash across the whole state. When there's an economic downturn, lower disposable income means less trash and smaller bags as well. People aren't buying as much. They're really economical. And then also, you talked about funding, for your low income or your senior residents for the bags, but that's putting more cost burden on the other bags and on your other residents. Again, the bag idea is that it was to reduce trash tonnage. And then the other thing is, it happens. More residents start putting their trash in public bins. I have actually seen this. And then I know also a lot of people take their trash to work. So some people are just going to start, actually I have a friend that does that. And it happens. And the thing is, so somebody that you're counting on them buying that one large bag, all of a sudden they're taking it to work. So they've been pulled out of your model. And again, you're counting on that for your fixed cost. Next slide. So the unintended consequences, again, just going all through these things that happen. The one that's going to happen, and we know this because the flip side is when I talk to a town about why they should go to pay as you throw, it's because their trash tonnage is going to go down from 20 to 40, decrease from 20 to 40%. It will decrease. And one of the reasons why, the residents are going to recycle more, but it's going to cost you guys more. So they're going to have to be paying, smaller bags, but you still are going to have to pay the disposal fee for that recycling. The other thing is composting. We're really focusing a lot on food waste in our trash. 25% of trash are things that can be composted. And that is a very heavy weight of your trash. So let's say residents start composting. That will have a significant impact on your trash. Some of the programs I've been working on here, we've applied for a swap shed. for residents to drop off household items that they might normally be putting in their trash. They can now, donate them or drop them off there. So we're really trying to educate the Dayton about other ways they can get rid of their trash stuff. So I'm helping to destabilize, your enterprise fund, basically. The other thing is, and you probably won't have that much of it, but what if residents decided to pay a private hauler? Everyone loves Borges. I've met them. They're fabulous. But some residents might go, let's get that big 95-gallon bin. Let's get a dumpster at the end of my driveway like Rehoboth has. Let me share it with my neighbor. It's easier. I don't have to go out and buy bags. It happens. I'm not saying you're going to have a huge amount, but in each of these categories, you're going to have people doing these little things. So what you're looking at now is not what's going to happen once those bag prices go up. And then the other thing that I think we mentioned when Peter was in the committee last year is the bag retailers. So the bag retailers sell the bags and they get a teeny tiny little percentage to help them cover their costs and all this stuff. Well, a big issue is the amount of fees that these little little mom and pop places are paying for credit card purchases. So I don't know about you guys, but $70 for a roll, I'm not going to be having, $70. You're going to be using more credit cards. So it's going to be hurting your smaller vendors. And because they're going to start seeing it immediately, like, whoa, it's going to add up when they look at their bill already. So you're going to need to make them whole, or you can start losing the vendors. And that's, again, they're your residents, they're your people. So next one, I just have a little, idea of that. But the idea is that you want to make them whole. You don't want them losing money. Next slide, Peter. I'm sorry, not Peter.
Yeah.
Sorry. So stuffing bags, I know it sounds crazy, but residents will do that. I do it, and I just did a little model using some of the numbers that Ralph had used a few weeks ago when, he presented, what the cost modeling can look like. And I just said, what if 10% of residents shift from a larger bag to a smaller bag? Just looking at that. And, I came up with, I have the MH estimate, that's mine, and then Ralph's estimate at the bottom. It's almost $100,000. And that is not a ridiculous amount to have 10% of a 10% shift. And I always go low. So it could be higher, but I just wanted to, show you how easily that can shift. Next slide, please. We've talked about the organic collection. I'm going to point this out because when I start again playing around with your numbers, again, household trash can be reduced by 25%. That's literally, large bag to a small bag. That's a win for the town in one aspect because you don't have to pay that tonnage. But if they're shifting from a larger bag to a smaller bag, you're not getting the revenue of it either. And that is your base of your program. So but one company that is very popular, and they do have a model where they do curbside pickup. And I looked at their pricing, and basically for $14.60 a month, they will come and pick up your food scraps for you. This adorable little bin, and they come and do it. You can put your meat in there, you can put your dairy, things that you normally would not put in the backyard compost bin. And then I looked at the cost shifts, and if I were a resident and taking my trash, it would be about $14. So a resident would almost break even by shifting to something like this. They might not want to, but it's possible. And the thing is, you're losing the bag sale again, but yet you are getting, also the trash tonnage. So that is something that you would also have to look at, because again, all of these are things people are going to start doing this to save money.
There's no lesser of two evils.
I'm sorry?
There's no lesser of two evils.
Exactly. So what are the impacts of shifting from one large bag to a smaller one, or increased costs? So how stable is your enterprise fund going to be for paying for this whole entire trash program, including the transfer station? There's just so many components. Like I said, that extra fuel surcharge is a very common one. bag sales, all those stuff in there. Like, you're gonna have to make decisions what you want to cut, and it's gonna happen, all of a sudden, it's gonna happen very quickly. You're going to see, oh, we have to pay our Borges bill. We're not bringing in the revenue we thought we were going to. You're going to have to play, shifting pockets, paying Peter and Paul and robbing everybody else. So you're going to have to really look at that very carefully. And other thing is you're going to have to increase these costs annually. Because as you could see, the next year especially, the price is going to go up so dramatically. And, Ralph had told me it was a great plan. I never thought of this, of changing the bag color. So if this is something you want to do every single year, you're going to have to change your bag color. So there's a little, confusion factor in there as well with, if you actually do this, making sure they're not using last year's bag. So it's a little complicated, actually. The other thing, next one. And again, borrowing from Ralph's slide is, you're going to have to make a decision, once it comes down to that, you're finding out you can't pay your Borges trash bill because you don't have enough bags coming in. You're going to have to decide, in your other services, what you want to cut. And sometimes it might come mid-year. You don't really have that chance to plan. So like I said, looking at what some of the other towns do, they're deciding to do the staying with the tax base. A lot of towns want to move away from that because they're trying to lower that cost. They want to save it for their police and their schools. But the annual fee does seem to become a very popular way of doing that, or cutting services. The other thing with Dayton, the fact that you're so small and you have also curbside and a transfer recycling center, you're very unique in that. So, you really need to look at, I think, maybe your program and take a bigger dive or deep, maybe slow down a little bit with what you want to do. Next one. Because this is a lot of importance to be putting on a thin plastic bag. It shifts, it floats, it moves around, and it really can destabilize and really undermine your budgeting for your whole town. And I really don't want to see that happen. I hate putting money in the trash. Yeah, I would rather have it go to, other services that a town can have. But trash is very important and we need to make sure it's done right.
So I understand 50% should be.
That's the rule of thumb.
That's the rule of thumb. And what was the next question? 50%. Are you recommending a yearly fee?
I'm going to let you look at what you want to do, because I have one town that does tax base, annual fee, and they increase their bag prices every year. Actually, it's a city that does this. So they run this model every year. So it's whatever you want to do. But again, acknowledging and making it very transparent to the public that every year these costs go up.
Right.
So, looking at them, but don't wait 5 years, then all of a sudden go, okay, we're going to change this, and looking at where your modeling is. Also looking at your transfer station. There's some things I, don't want to say here in this public meeting, but there's some thoughts that I have that I've mentioned to Ralph and some other ways that maybe we can work with other towns.
Yep.
Looking into more regional options and things like that, because everyone's going through this situation. Right. So.
I think the enterprise fund failed for a few reasons. One of them being, I think we didn't get across to the public that it wasn't going to cost us money to have an enterprise fund.
Yeah.
It's just a question of the way it was funded, but it was not coming out of anybody's pocket to fund this, because on paper, it makes sense to have an enterprise fund.
So an enterprise fund really is just a way so that, annually you look at the fees within there, and it's more transparent. You can see, it costs this much and this much. But the thing is, funding that enterprise fund with bags is, like I said, it's almost like sand. You can't grab onto it. So you do need something that's stable, whether it be an annual fee or the tax base or something that that's solid. And I'll be honest, most of the towns are shifting to an annual fee.
What's the breaking point with bags when people say, I'm not paying any more for this, therefore I'm going to go to.
The highest that is still working, I think, is $5.
$5.
But again, I believe that's in one of our wealthier,
Communities.
Yeah.
Okay,
like old Boston money kind of.
Sure.
Like that. To be honest, the sweet spot is, the $3,
right.
$5 range.
Yeah.
kind of thing. Again, as it starts shifting up, we might see it, but for right now, it's just not there.
Okay.
Um,
I know we've discussed this at our committee
Yeah,
meetings,
yeah.
but for the
Yeah.
other two and for the public, I just wanted them
Yeah.
to be aware.
Because the thing is like, to be honest, people don't really like having to go out and buy these bags.
Right.
So at some point, it's, and we haven't quite gotten there yet. I'm sure we will very soon, but right now it's $7 is definitely
Yep.
that.
And in addition to buying bags from the town or whatever location they get it from, most people use a bag they get from the supermarket to put their trash in and only to put that into
Yeah.
a Dayton bag. So not that they're paying double for that, but they are paying
Right.
more money than
So,
is.
so the thing is, that's what a lot of residents kind of get. They're like, why am I paying so much for this lovely plastic bag that has Dayton on it? They need to understand that it's the services you're
Right.
paying for.
Yep.
It's not just the cost of making the bag. kind of
Sure.
thing. But with that, and that will go up.
Yep.
And I know we had some vendor issues and stuff
Right.
in the past, and that seems to be resolved. But again, residents start thinking of that, and they
Yep.
start thinking of other ways, to move around that.
I like the idea of a swap shed, a table, whatever you want to refer to it as, but there's also a cost for the startup with that.
I'm sorry?
There's also going to be a cost for a startup. It's going to have to be covered somehow.
No, so actually, the town has applied for a grant for that. So
Okay.
if they get it, they will be getting $6,000 to buy the shed, and if they need to put a concrete pad down and all this stuff, it will pay for, up to $6,000 to get your
Okay.
shed up and active.
Yep.
Beyond that, how you want to run it, I highly recommend volunteers, and you have such a really a close community that I think you
Right.
can do that.
Yep.
So I don't think you're gonna need to have, paid employees to do it.
Okay.
But the idea again is, instead of somebody putting, whatever
Sure.
in their trash, that they're gonna put it there and somebody else will use it.
Right.
And the guy at the library, unfortunately, he left, but I said, oh, we can do a library of things for you. We can, do some other fun things with you again, ideas of helping to keep the trash tonnage.
Right.
And then, your Lions Club does a great job every year with
Sure.
it. So things like that, starting to work more with them.
Okay.
So, like I said, I'm making everything possible so we can bring it down.
Oh,
but again,
sure.
it's Destabilizing, your plan. So, that's just kind of where we are with that.
Right.
So.
Nicole, do you have any questions?
No,
Mark?
I have some questions, but just a statement first. Just thank you for the
My hearing aid needs repaired, sorry.
Thank you for the presentation. One thing that sounds unfortunate is the state makes all these regulations. They say no more landfills, no more incinerators. So our costs go up.
Yeah.
And they employ folks from the state to educate us, but they don't give us any money.
So
the
we
state-
give you money. So the incinerators, it's, the reason we have the moratorium on it is because the towns wanted it. The towns don't want it. I mean, if we had that, we lifted the moratorium and it got, Dayton, you want an incinerator in your town? I can tell you in the minute, people go, oh, yeah. The other thing is, so we do give you money. We do have the grant money. We do have a lot of other grant programs out there. The reason we're doing that is because we're trying to keep the trash tonnage down. Why? Because we're trying to save you money. Because if this is all just going to be railroaded out of state, the rates are going to be very high to begin with.
Right.
So all these bans that we do are based on keeping the incinerator still going and still, all this stuff. The other thing is we're a small state, and this is why we're ahead of the curve out of a lot of other states in the country, is because we're small. We closed the landfills down because they were leaking chemicals and they were not healthy for our residents. So we closed them down, but instead of just making it very punitive, we actually had creating a job like my job, and then also grant money. So we really tried to have the carrot program rather than the stick program. And other states are actually trying to model what we do with it. So, I know it seems like, oh, they're making us do this. Well, the other thing is a town does not have to provide trash services. That is something, that we need to remember. And some towns do not. So if you looked at some of my data, I only had data from like 200 and some towns. The reason is because a lot of other towns, they don't do it at all. It's private haulers, you know, you want, you do it. So, and some fairly wealthy towns do too, so.
Do you know, so based on your numbers, let's say we do have bags and we have an enterprise fund. If you have a deficit in that enterprise fund, can you pay that deficit through taxation instead of through your bag fee?
I'm not a funding financial person. I can't ask that yet.
Because the board has to listen to the community and what the community wants. And in my opinion, the community has spoken loud and clear. They don't want to pay a bill, any additional bills in the mail for trash. They don't want to pay for a sticker, but they'll pay more for their trash bags because they value the service. So hearing what you have to say, I think we all acknowledged it. We don't know what the number's going to look like. And I think, of course, what you said makes sense. Folks will change their habits. And perhaps our $1 million budget can't be fully funded by an enterprise fund, but we would still be pulling out hundreds of thousands of dollars out of our budget, which would help our overall budget. So my thought is, I guess that's an answer that we need to have, is if folks change their habits, but we know what the community wants. They don't want to pay for.
No, they don't.
They don't want a bill.
No.
But we have a problem, just like everyone else. So yeah, that's my question is, we would still be successful in pulling out hundreds of thousands of dollars, but if we have a deficit, can we still at least fund that deficit, that trash cost through taxation, you know, because
Again,
Something
depending
to look
on the
into.
budget, you know.
We would have to, but the problem becomes, I mean, are we dedicating those funds? So if we go into it, we have to know we're supplementing the enterprise fund with taxes. I invited Missy here to begin, so we can begin the conversation. As I had stated to the board, now is the time for us to work on the fiscal year 27. I will be, right in a few minutes, be presenting budget options, and the budget options being the sanitation enterprise fund, debt exclusion, and it's not quite a budget option, but a consideration, a capital exclusion. What I wanted Missy here for was to provide expertise on trash, as funny as it sounds like. So you can, as a board, begin to think, we are looking at an enterprise fund for trash. There are a lot of considerations we have to take into account. And so you give us the goal, and my hope is at our third meeting, the third meeting from now, the second meeting in August, we all come together as a board, directing management and our financial team as to which way to go. Obviously, this is going to take a lot of time and effort and analysis. So if we're going with the enterprise fund, we need to know sooner rather than later. So again, I knew Missy was the person we kind of when we first thought about the enterprise fund. We had some conversations at my presentation at annual town meeting was that, okay, this is what the cost is going to be. And I'll bring it up. I'll go very quickly at our budget options. It's going to be approximately $360 per person, per household. Sorry, we got to figure out how to get there. And as this slide accurately presents, we're relying a lot on a thin piece of plastic. But it was a starting point. Again, it was a starting point, and then we have to figure out, put our options and considerations together. So, I mean, I don't expect any answers tonight. You shouldn't have. This is the reason why we're doing this is so you listen and you digest, and as we move forward, because our next week is going to be ahead. We're looking at service and personnel reductions. So I want to give you as much information as you think about, you as the decision makers of the town,
to help to give us direction as to which way to go. So again, I know, Missy's a pro on this. He looks across Massachusetts, he knows the whole towns. I would say, if we had an incinerator, that might not be a bad thing. But it makes a lot of money on it, so
Sounds like fun.
We should lift that ban and we'll be flowing in cash.
We would.
And the other thing is this presentation is geared for you.
Sure.
You can also, if you want to have me, talk to residents or be a town meeting, I can do something a little more easier, because they
Awesome.
don't know tons.
Mhm.
And the household, this is what I put out on my bag. And,
Right.
and so I can explain it in that method. And like I said, I keep saying is, you can make the choice to put your money and throw it in the trash, basically, or, the services that you want to keep for your town. And it's, you're doing what you can. Borges does great service, even if you were to get somebody else, you're not going to be saving mega money here.
Right.
And your service is so top notch and they're really giving you a lot for it. So, so I have talked to, I'm starting to what I call, I don't want to say the regionalizing, but working together, like sharing resources to see what we could do with other towns. I've talked to, kind of started talking to Taunton a little bit and things like how we can make it, better for everybody. Because it is, everyone's having this situation. Like I even have really wealthy towns that are struggling with it, so.
Thank you so much, and thank you for being
Thank you
here.
very much.
I do have one more question. I thought I saw a slide that showed that some town, I think it might have been Ashby, is
Yep.
charging $7 a bag for recycling.
So Ashby, so it's interesting when you're asking me about the funding thing. So how they kind of got in this situation is they found they had a deficit and they were using, I can't remember what it was. They were using their free cash funds and they, got in trouble for that. So I know there's regulations you can't do. So they in a panic had to quickly come up with something. So it's $7 for one bag. They don't get two different sizes. And it's $7 just to drop off your recycling. So, if you go once a week, you pay $7. If you go once a month, you pay $7. Doesn't matter if you have, 5 things or a whole trunk load of it. And they never had, to be honest, I don't think they were monitoring their program closely. I mean, if they are for the first time ever having a transfer station sticker fee, then they weren't really keeping an eye on it because most towns have one, at least something. So, but again, it's going to kill their program, and it does. I want to keep transfer stations around, because they're really good for when you need to get rid of that extra stuff and it won't fit in your bin. But the other thing is I'm also working with a town who's involved with the Republic strike. And for whatever reason over the years, they have their curbside, but they kept their trash transfer site permitting. I don't know anything about the permitting. I know it's kind of tricky and all this stuff, but they kept it. And the thing is that saved them, because when that strike happened, they were immediately able to flip to having their residents drop off the trash there. So it has a lot of advantages for the town. We just have to figure out how we can fund it. And
So we had a discussion at one point about recycles. So is it not illegal? You can charge for a recycle bag, basically, that's not illegal. You can charge for recycling.
I'm sorry, say that again?
You can charge for recycling.
You can charge for anything you want, yeah.
So
I would not do that because, so this is where we kind of get tricky. And this has to do, as I understand it, because we're a commonwealth and not a state. So we have trash bans. So we kind of regulate the haulers and then the landfills and the MRFs, but not the residents. So recyclables are banned items from the trash. They have to go in the recycling. So Mr. Borges, and he's fantastic, if he sees things in the trash that should be recyclable, he might refuse to take that resident's trash because when he goes to tip it, he can get a fine. And if it happens enough, they might refuse to allow him to drop there. He could lose his contract. So it's on the other end with that.
Okay.
So yeah, you could do that. You could charge for it. But the reality is once your residents kind of go, no, just stick it in the trash kind of thing, rather than paying extra for it.
So Peter, one thing I just asked was, can you charge for recycling? you can, it's not recommended.
Right.
But you can charge for it, because I know we talked about
Yeah.
it, so.
You know, we had, I think last year we had talked about, having a flat fee. Rather than calling it a recycling fee, just call it a fee.
Mhm.
Because that way, it's not always, if you want to use it for the transfer station for something else, it's just a trash and recycling fee, solid waste fee or whatever you want to call it, rather than making it very specific.
Mhm.
Kind of cover other things, because again, I'm seeing a lot of things happening, like flash floods, and all of a sudden, like crazy things happen. And I really want you guys to be able to be flexible enough and to be able to cover everything. So, and trash is really important, actually, so.
Thank you for being so available and
Very informative.
very
Thank you.
informative.
Thanks for coming out. Thanks for recommending it, Ralph. No, it's good.
Stick around, or?
Oh, no,
Okay.
thank you. Okay, we're gonna move on to announcements whenever you're ready, Nicole.
The Dayton Blood Drive is Saturday, August 2nd, from 9 AM to 2 PM at Old Town Hall. This is sponsored by the Dayton Board of Health and the Dayton Police Department. For an appointment, you can visit the redcrossblood.org. The Pan Mass Challenge, the community will come together on August 2nd and 3rd from all corners of the world with one mission: to raise funds for cancer research and treatment. Be on the lookout. There'll be riders throughout Dayton. Some important road work announcements. Horton, Oak, Maple, and Maple Swamp Road. The week of August 4th, weather permitting, the first treatment of preservation and rejuvenation treatment will occur. And then August 18th through the 22nd, also weather permitting, there'll be a second treatment. This will be crack filling, leveling, and hot patch. The Dayton's Lion Food Bank distribution will be held next on Saturday, August 16th. This is located at Town Hall in the lower level. And then the Friends of the Dayton Public Library will have their third annual golf tournament. It will take place on Sunday, October 5th at the Swansea Country Club. For registration, you can contact Kevin Smith at 508-509-2713 or for the Park and Recs at gmail.com.
Great, thank you. This is the first of two public inputs. Is there anybody who has anything they want to add? At this time, nobody is. Gwen, how are you? Nobody's out there?
No, I'm here. It just took me a minute.
Okay, do you have any public input at this time, Gwen?
Well, I just wanted to say, I really thought Missy did a really great job presenting
did.
that. And I think there's a lot of room for us to work. I mean, she brought up some things I had thought might actually, I'm not in that industry, of course, but it had crossed my mind, things that we might run into. But I think she's really a good asset, and it would do us well to be working with her. So.
She comes to just about every meeting that the trash reduction has. We meet once a month, and she's always there, which she has great information. And I was glad she was able to come tonight to explain it to the public, exactly what's going on.
Yeah, the other thing is the trash to, an incinerator trash to energy plant. I mean, they say that we need stuff in town. I know we already have a power plant, but I don't know. Just the things that make you say, I wouldn't be totally opposed to it. I mean, if everything's regulated properly, and they have to do something, and, I'd rather have that than a prison in town.
Sure.
So, but thank you.
Thank you. Okay, town administrator's report, please.
Oh, thank you. I have two things listed, but before I go into the budget alternatives, I want to just make a note. We got something from Mass DOT. As you know, we were looking to rehab the bridge on Pleasant Street. We did get grant money for that purpose, but as a reminder, the town did put money in the special town meeting that was in November. So there's going to be a public meeting on it held by Mass DOT. We'll be putting up on the website. It's August 12th at 6 p.m. It's a virtual meeting. So I just want to let everyone know about that, that it's coming up. So I will be discussing the budget alternatives. Guys, as we have been discussing since the end of last budget cycle, fiscal year 27 budget cycle began 2 months ago, I think we're going to have to make a lot of choices. Some of them may be difficult. So I think it's best to start the process now, to have the selectmen start thinking about, help giving us direction. I want to make sure myself and my financial team knows we're going in the right direction. To emphasize this point, if you remember at annual town meeting, I have an estimated budget balance of fiscal year 27 right now as a negative 954, right? Let's call it $955,000, almost $1 million. At annual, the good news is at annual town meeting, we were looking closer to 1.1. Pilot agreements are coming in, so that's about 182,000. So that's what brought it down to the 954. All right. Okay. So as we have been discussing, how do we close that shortfall? So one is, and they're not mutually exclusive. We're going to be discussing the enterprise fund. Missy did a full job, so I'm not going to spend a lot of time on that. There's the debt exclusion. There's a capital exclusion and service and personnel reductions. And we're going to be discussing that at the next selectmen's meeting. So I want to focus mainly on the debt exclusion in this presentation. Just very quickly on the enterprise fund. Again, Missy did a fantastic job, but some numbers that although we did a quick analysis, these numbers probably aren't going to change very much. As we know, this year's budget number is going to be like 950,000. Next year's trash number should be over $1 million. So we spend a significant amount of money for waste removal. That breaks down to about $360. The average cost $360 per household. As Missy's presentation showed, we cannot rely exclusively on bags. We need stable revenue sources need to be identified, and if we decide to go. To present an enterprise fund to the public. I need to know sooner rather than later, especially if you're looking at a special town meeting in November, because as illustrated, there's significant cost analysis we need to do to identify revenue sources and to really identify do we want the whole, all the funds which are associated with waste removal in an enterprise fund? Do we want to do a carve out? What do we want to do? But the reality is sanitation costs will eventually outpace other services. So we really have to make a decision on this. What do we want to do?
Can I ask a question on that?
Yeah, of course.
So if you want direction from the selectmen, is this going to be on our next meeting, or when are you expecting us to talk about this?
Well, I'm hoping at not the next meeting. I mean, if you want to say it now, you can say it now. But I had Missy here, and just so you could start digesting it. I was hoping to start really get some direction at the August 27th meeting, because then we would have gone through all the choices, and then we could start, do we want to focus on one? What happens this doesn't go through, what are our next steps?
Thank you.
So, this, I want the board to sort of really take an opportunity. Obviously, I'm always available for questions now, but we're facing a significant shortfall. And, again, we have to make decisions and again, sooner rather than, we don't want to be Ashby. All of a sudden we have to come up with money fast.
Could you get us that answer though on maybe from DLS or whatever contact would be to see if you can fund if there's a deficit in your enterprise fund through taxation?
No, you can.
You can. Oh,
Okay, that's part.
okay.
Right. That's, yeah, that you can build a model or you can either collect more money than you or less money than you need, but that shortfall is made up from taxes. But that's part of your model going in. You don't want to use taxes when you're halfway into it. You have to, right? So you have to realize what your costs are going to be. So again, that's part of the analysis. So we were looking at if we fund the whole, right, sanitation enterprise fund through user fees. We have to make sure we have a stable source. If we just sort of do it again, as I mentioned earlier, if we do a carve out, as we'll say, the Borges money is we just collect the enterprise fund for that, and the rest we still roll on taxes. We could do that. So I think these are the things I want you to digest and consider. But we have to identify, right? We have to identify the revenue sources, whether it be through general funds, whether it be through general funds, bag prices, and a fee, or one or the other. We have to do that analysis. So we have to, again, it can't be relied on one source. We have to use one, two, or three sources as was presented.
Thank you.
Again, just to illustrate the point, how much sanitation removal affects the town's budget. If say if you removed it from general funding, we would be in the positive $27,000, almost $28,000. So it's a significant service. We supply to the people of Dayton, but it comes at a significant cost. So again, this is something I think we need to consider. How do we manage? Can I go on to the next one?
Sure.
There's no good news today for you.
No, I know.
So next, the budget options. This has been coming up a lot. Is the debt exclusion. Again, we carry a significant portion of debt within the general fund, and we all know what it is. We've identified it. The first one is Bristol Plymouth. The member towns are on the hook for about $180 million. In the past, and I use this number because I rather, for budgeting purposes, I'd rather go with the high number than the low number. In the past, our full obligation was about $910,000 a year. That was with when we had a full 8% of the student population. It was 8.1% of the student population was from Dayton. It was going on a higher interest rate. I'm going to say this: the last schedule we received it was based on Dayton enrollment of almost a percentage point less. They got a little better, amount on the interest rate. And, it's gonna be approximately $700,000. But it fluctuates, and for illustrative purposes, for tonight, just again for consideration, I rather go higher if this is something we're looking to do, really get the best numbers we can. In addition to BP is the Bristol Aggie. This is something that happened a few years ago. The member towns are on the hook for about $52 million. Talking about fluctuation, last year our obligation was $167,000. This year it was $209,000. Again, because of what we owe is based on the amount, the number of students which we have. So again, as long as we keep this within pay it through general funds, it's going to put a tremendous strain on our revenues and the services we can provide. Again, a little history. I know this board has brought it up many times. This question went before the voters in November of 2024. A presidential election, a lot of ballots were cast. Almost 4,900 ballots were cast. It was a relatively close vote for the BP debt. 2-2 to 1 was opposed. 2159 were in favor, and maybe not as close for the for Bristol Aggie. 2313 were opposed. 2067 were in favor. In anticipation of the possibility of introducing a debt exclusion again, this board, with some foresight, put together as to if the town, as the warrant article to see if the town will accept the provisions of Chapter 53, 53 Section 18B. Again, it allows the town to put out mailers and explain what a yes vote means and what a no vote means. Again, to using the high numbers, and this, I ran this through the DLS, just so you see, what is the cost? What is the cost to each household for if we decide to go with that exclusion? So if I broke it out between the two debts, BP debt and Bristol Aggie debt, but the total number would be the average taxpayer, and this is based on the average house, average assessed value of $509,000 would be $310.59 annual cost.
That's the high end.
That, using the high end, meaning if our Bristol, right, looking about what, like $1.1 million, but it could be less, but I wanted to get a high number.
So a wild card, as small as it might be, is the percentage that we have students going to BP. Why did it drop a percent this year? Do you know?
Fewer students went.
Well, yeah, I mean, obviously,
Yeah,
that's ultimately the reason why, but are they just no rhyme or reason to it dropping? So this
We are
is,
doing a better job at attracting students.
okay.
So.
So that number can fluctuate by about $100,000.
So just, so the projections I have now based on the schedule, you would the 910, or let's say 975 would cover both. On the schedule.
Yeah.
If everything holds steady.
Right.
We're looking at, it would be about approximately $200,000.
Okay.
$200,000.
BP also added Freetown to,
Right, they
so
did.
we're
So
competing
they
with more students.
Could have taken from the pool. What's the criteria for getting into BP? Is it you have to be accepted, you apply and
You
you,
have to apply, yeah, you have to apply and be accepted.
okay,
A lot of vocational schools now, they interview the students. So they want to make sure they have a caliber of student who it's not academic, but they want to make sure that these kids they take in are serious about what they about the trades they select, because a lot of the trades they use some serious equipment, and they want to make sure.
Okay.
Didn't it just move over though to a lottery-based system, the state?
Was that,
Yeah.
that's Crystal Abbey?
I believe it's all VOTEC schools.
Okay. Oh.
So-
Yeah,
number of people apply and then
And then
it's
it's,
a lottery from there?
yeah,
Okay,
But that just passed, so that would be for this, I don't know if it was effective probably for this, maybe this year. or
and I
next
wonder
year.
how they'll do, like the way it used to be, what Ralph was describing, you wouldn't have to look at how many you're taking from each town because you're looking based off criteria, but when you're looking at a lottery system, are they gonna decide we need X, Y, and Z, since they're looking to diversify?
That'll be interesting to see.
yeah,
May,
I'll reach out to the.
Not work in our favor.
and See how what their plan is.
Yeah, 'cause-
System. So that would, in a way, that might, we will know what percentage every year.
Mhm.
So it'll kind of help us, and we may raise the number, but at least we'll know what it is over time. So, again, given the current numbers, next year's number for our debt obligation is about $810,000. Given the numbers I had gotten last year, so if we had debt exclusion, our estimated budget balance would be minus 144. So honestly, if I was looking at that today, I'd be happy, if I knew that was gonna be the number, because we could start figuring other things out. But just as an illustration for both the sanitation enterprise fund and for the debt exclusion, how much those two items affect our budget. They're definitely big ticket items. They put a significant strain on the budget as we keep it for the general fund. One point that I'd like to illustrate, which will bring us into the capital exclusion, because of those two factors, a lot, last year, and actually 2 years in a row, we had a dip into free cash. I've made a commitment that we're not going to use free cash for these purposes, for any of those purposes this year, fiscal year 27. Also, as a result of the strain it puts on our budget, we have to we put capital needs on the back burner, and there's only so long we can do that. So, we squeezed the budget. We did a good job last year in squeezing it. Hopefully we won't have too many ill effects as a result of it. But there's only so long we could do that. Which brings me to my next point. So something to consider. It doesn't really doesn't relieve pressure on the budget, but it does eventually it will help us because it relieves pressure on our capital needs. There's something called a capital exclusion, very similar to a debt exclusion. But the thing with the capital exclusion is you don't put it out the bond. We don't pay any interest rate on it. It's for 1 year, so it's a short window, and we raise the funds exclusively for capital needs. just again, to illustrate the point, if had a capital exclusion for $500,000, the average taxpayer would pay for that 1 year, they would see an increase in that tax. 137. But this, we could get, we could get some things, we could get some things done. I'd be reintroducing the capital committee, because we have to identify what our capital needs are. And, the lower hanging fruit, this is probably the best way we could do it. Again, it's just for 1 year. If we identify, if there's a need, if we need to buy a new police cruiser, if we need to buy a highway equipment, we need to do capital maintenance repairs to our buildings. This is probably the best way for us to find the money.
How much would it raise, Ralph?
That would raise $500,000.
So a debt exclusion is a ballot question based on a
These
vote
are
of
votes
the
of
board
the same.
selectmen.
Yeah.
So this is also a ballot
Yeah,
question.
it's the same. The difference is that this is exclusively for capital needs, and it's just 1 year. We don't go out, we don't do bands. A bond anticipation notes doesn't go out. There's no interest associated with it. So the money we collect goes straight to capital. And that's what I have for this week's budget.
Good job.
So again, I want you to think about if you have any questions now or as we go. Please do not hesitate to contact me, because we have to make these decisions.
Well, you certainly have given us a lot of information. I think we each have to digest it and talk about it in earnest. If you want to wait till the 27th of August, or whatever the date is.
I think the 27th, we'll have a fuller picture.
Yep.
Given our next conversation. But again, it's if we decide to go with an enterprise fund, do we do the whole sanitation or do we do a carve out? If we decide to go with the debt exclusion, do we ask for the whole debt? Do we ask for just BP? Or do we just ask for this leg? If we decide to go with service and personnel reductions, what is that going to be? Do we do a combination? If we, take one from column A, one from column B, one from column C, how is that going to go? But all of this, is if we go exclusively with sanitation enterprise fund or debt exclusion, and if it doesn't pass, what I'm going to be presenting next week is we're going to have to go to service and personnel reductions. And I want you and the general public to understand what that would look like. So.
Okay. Selectmen goals, you want to do that too?
I wanted to keep this on the agenda because I know it was Selectman Pacheco had put it on. I had given you my thoughts on it at the last meeting. And I don't to sort of do a long range plan to incorporate the goals, the selectmen's goals and the department head goals, and look through all the studies again that we have done incorporate them. And this is just like an overview and sort of make sure we articulate those goals and have them written down, and then every year do an annual review of them and make sure we print them in the warrant, so the town knows where we're, the direction where we're going. So I think this was more of a discussion for the board as to what direction do you want to go with this? Do we want to look at this, take another look at this? Again, maybe, let's get past the budget options and in September, take a look at it, or do you want me to bring it up again at the next meeting? So I think this is, I want to get your direction as to where do you want to go with the goals.
Every year we used to have a retreat with a prior town manager, and we used to discuss the goals at that, but we used to also incorporate it with their review, which is due in September for you. Because some of those goals become
Right.
your goals. Okay. Do you guys have any comments about the goals?
Well, I brought it up
Yeah.
a couple meetings ago, and we haven't all been together since.
Right.
So I thought it would be good if the board, maybe over the next couple of months, if we all work together on common goals that we share. And I think Ralph's comments at the last meeting really complimented the idea, and he brought some really good ideas forward too about getting other department goals too, and seeing how we can incorporate that and longer term goals. And even Ralph had town administrator goals. And since then, and since Ralph had his comments at the last meeting, I saw a lot of town websites actually have their selectmen's goals on there. And instead of us just, things end up on the agenda and we make our decisions on it, having our own direction and sales and guidance to where we want to go, I think it makes sense. So I think it made sense. So I said this at the last meeting that I talked about it. It makes sense we haven't done anything for the past year because the budget has been overarching and our main focus. But now I think we've been talking for the budget, we've been talking about kind of the same things. So I think we'll be okay when we're making our decisions. So I don't think it would hurt for us to talk over the next few meetings on some goals. I have some that I could introduce real quick if you don't mind, and then maybe that will help us in future meetings as we talk. Just things I came up with thinking about Dayton, I guess. So one, fiscal health course. Working on a course of action to deliver the best services without imposing unnecessary burdens on our taxpayers. We're already doing that, and we're working on it hard, so we could already put a lot of actionable items on there. Community engagement and communication. I think we could increase the focus for the town through the Board of Selectmen to increase communications through the town. You've already done a lot of that with your videos. And housing, preserving housing and open space and growth. Growth is coming to Dayton, and we're a community that values open space and farmland. So I would like to see Dayton be a leader in implementing impact fees to ensure builders pay their fair share and the town gets what it deserves. And my last comment is, I saw at the last meeting, a resident brought up a mission statement. I have experience making mission statements, and I find it helps with my day-to-day decision-making, and I have it in my current role. We made one as a team, we have it on the website, and we actually use it to make decisions. So I like the idea of, in the goal-setting process, to craft a mission statement as well. And I think it just all adds value to our town and what we do and what we stand for.
Nicole, you have anything on that at this point?
No, those were excellent. One of them that I had marked that you hadn't mentioned was business and growing business, and not so much more so home-based businesses, because we had at one point, I can't remember, they changed their name, the Dayton into DI, whatever they are now. They'd come and they had spoke about how many in-home businesses we have and how we could influence having more in-home businesses and how we could maybe make revenue off of that.
I like that.
Isn't that gonna be one of your discussions, Peter? Or did you have that one already?
No, tomorrow,
Okay,
Thank you.
but yes, it was a list of the questions.
yeah.
Yes, thank you. Okay. One of the things I inadvertently had done was skipped over the selectmen's reports. Are there any?
I don't have any, no.
Nope.
Okay, so, no harm done. Then we'll move on to old business. Review, discuss and act. The superintendent had called me about a week, actually, I'm sorry, he didn't call. I think he sent an email that there is a position that needs to be filled, that, the Board of Selectmen have to decide who on the board, or Ralph or our appointed designee, needs to be on this committee of three. Do you want to explain it more, Ralph, or?
Yeah, absolutely. So, as you may recall, like your last meeting before, the board, the school building committee came before this board. It said that they had selected, an OPM, an owner's project manager for the Dayton Elementary School project. The next step in that is working with the OPM. It's designer selection. So what this is the designer selection. It's very, because it's a MSBA project, the steps are very prescribed. So there are three, they have three individuals on the designer selection team. One is someone from the superintendent, school committee, and a designee from the town. It's the CEO of the town or their designee. This is, my fault. I thought we had a little more time to do this. I was gonna present it at the August 13th meeting, but they gave us the schedule, and they're looking for someone either to be appointed sooner rather than later. They're gonna be submitting, they call it the red line version of the draft designer proposal on 14. So they don't have to have a name, but they want to kind of have a draft up. The whole process has been, and I know Selectman Pacheco was there as well. They feel that when we move forward with this, they want to move forward in the selection process as quickly as possible, not to rush it, but to save time on the front end, so we save time on the back end, and that translates into real dollars. So again, typically it would be it's either a member of the selectmen or their designee, which I would be the likely candidate.
Well, let's put it this way, does anybody want to do it
I'm comfortable with,
with Ralph? So am I. You don't mind, Ralph, or?
No.
Okay, then can we have a motion on the floor?
I'll make a motion for our town administrator, Ralph Fataco, to be the designee for the designer selection panel.
I'll second that.
Motion made and seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye. Thank
Remote,
you, Ro.
thanks, yes. Just adding to your plate.
Okay.
Remote participation Zoom policy. This is supposed to be the second reading.
I just want to say thank you to Ralph and Karen and team for making this policy. I think it's well done, and it's there for good reason, so thank you.
If I may, as you go through, just something, while we were putting this together, we actually, Leanne, received an email from Zoom, talking about Zoom security. digital platform security. And they stated that, it shouldn't, as we do, because we make this a public meeting, we shouldn't put the Zoom link in the agenda. So if one wants the Zoom link, they can request it. And she did a sort of a quick survey that, I want to back up a second. We are not obligated to have these meetings on Zoom. So as we got this from the Governor's Office of Public Bodies not required to provide remote access to a meeting. The meeting is held in a physical location that is open and accessible to the public. Nonetheless, we encourage public bodies to provide multiple methods of access to a meeting when feasible. Maybe for your consideration, if we can, we could enact the Zoom policy, but I'm just putting it out there. We don't have to have the public meeting on Zoom. We can provide access. We can provide access. People who have to say Missy couldn't be here to make the presentation. We would have it on Zoom. If someone is disabled and they need to come on Zoom, we would give them the access on Zoom. If an individual of the public say, listen, I want to go, but I can't, we would give them access to Zoom. We wouldn't necessarily just, for lack of a better term, broadcast it so anyone could choose. So we would have more control of access. Something to think about. I know we're going to have one more reading of the Zoom policy. If that's something that you want to consider, it's something we could put on the next agenda.
I don't see a reason to change it. Other than that one incident that we had, what, 4 or 5 months ago? It's just gonna limit the knowledge that gets out there if we limit Zoom.
Well, I'm going to say not necessarily, because we have it's cable, it's recorded,
Right.
It's out there. But again, it's coincidentally we received this news from the digital platform. So I wanted to make the board aware of it in case you did want to consider that. We have the policy now, we can keep it going as it is.
Right.
Or not, so.
Okay, this is a review, discuss, and act, so really it's just accepting that as a second reading?
Yes.
Okay,
I'll make a motion for the second reading for the remote participation Zoom policy.
I'll second that.
motion has been made and seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
New business, a vacation carryover request.
I just wanted to point that as confirmed by the town accountant, or everyone requesting carryover is within their contractual agreement.
Fire is 96 hours,
They have, right, 2 weeks, their weeks are 48 hours. So
Yeah.
That's what.
96, yep. Okay, I have no issues with it, this unicorn.
Nope.
No, we have dedicated employees.
Yeah.
They are at work. So I'll make a motion to approve the vacation carryover request as presented.
I'll second that.
Motion has been made and seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Approval of the warrants.
I'll make a motion to approve warrants paid by July 17, 25. 3/8/25 for $141,586.42. 4/B/25 for $73,974.64. And warrants paid by July 24th, 25. 4/8/26 for $122,839.93. and 4B26 for $274,579.26.
I'll second that.
Motion has been made and seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor? Acknowledgements we've already done. And approval of the Board of Selectmen's regular meeting minutes for July 9th.
I'll make a motion to approve the Board of Selectmen regular meeting minutes of July 9th, 2025.
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Adjournment, please. Oh, no,
we got
public input.
input.
We've got one more. You guys have anything you want to add? Just here for the show? Gwen, you have anything else?
Well, I could go on and on, but I'll spare you.
No, it's okay. Now's the opportunity.
No, I think just kind of going back to that enterprise fund or the debt exclusion, and I think the best course of action, I know it's not going to be an easy thing, but really just trying to educate the public. It's going to be a hard sell, in my opinion, if you take too much away, like if you're taking away the trash and trying to get them to pay for the school. I mean, it's all like, you always got to play part of the psychological game too. But I think there's a lot of good information out there right now, but I think the big key is trying to educate the townspeople about what the potential best option could be. So that's my two cents with that. And I probably had a few other things. I probably should have wrote it down, but I was just trying to pay attention to what everyone was saying. But
Sure.
I appreciate the job you guys are trying to do for the town.
Thank you. Well, there's 2 weeks now. You can take your notes and come back.
Yeah, although I won't be able to make that meeting in 2 weeks, unfortunately, I have a conflict, but I'll be around for another one. Oh, and about the Zoom, sometimes like it is better to be there in person, but it's a great option to be able to, even if I get home late, I can jump on the meeting and still
Sure.
try to participate. I'd like to see a little bit more participation. And I'm not familiar with what happened several months ago with Zoom, but I know there's a lot of different parameters you can put on it so that you can only allow the certain people to come in if you think it's some nefarious person trying to cause trouble and things like that. But I'm sure you guys will make the right decision. So just that's all. And again, thank you. And yep.
All right. Thank you for your kind words.
Okay.
Any other public input? That's it. All right. Adjournment, please.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
We are closed.